Hello and welcome to What the Faux Travel Podcast. This is Series 3, Episode 4, and this one's all about Argentina.
Here we go, guys. Good to have you along again for another episode of What the Faux Travel Podcast. Season 3 is really rocking and rolling now. That's the first time I've ever said rocking and rolling in my life.
I do not know why you're saying rocking and rolling when we're listening to this music either.
Very true. It could not be further from rock and roll. But I'm very excited to be talking about Argentina finally. It feels like quite a while ago we were there, so I'm really glad to be doing this episode right now.
Yes, so I'm really excited about this because Argentina's always been my dream country. I really love it. And so we went to it because I put it on my bucket list. It's number 55. Go to my most desired country, Argentina. So I'm so excited to share all of our experiences and everything from Argentina with you guys and definitely encourage you to go because it's an incredible country. So Nick, let's kick things off with shout outs or hate mail. What one have we got this time?
It's all good, baby. It's just shout outs and we've got a lot. I think this is a record. All right, let's get the shout outs started. So Sam Johnson, he's been listening to the show while doing his farm work in Australia, which is really cool. Oh, and this is a disclaimer. There's going to be quite a few exotic foreign names coming up, which I'm going to try my best to pronounce. I've been practicing today.
Have you?
Okay, first one coming at ya. Madhu?
Wait, can I just say, you never in real life say coming at ya, but you say it all the time on the podcast.
Stop ruining the illusion, Amy, to the listeners. Of course I do. It's my catchphrase. So Madhu said he's loving the podcast and he wants to know when we're going to be in Helsinki. We've got no plans, but when we are there, we'll definitely let you know. Thanks for getting in touch. We had a great email from Graciela Aguilerion. Graciela is actually from the United States of America. Yeah, like I said, it was a great email. She said that she's a total mother-foer and she wanted to share her thoughts on why Americans don't travel much. Very briefly, they're only taught their own history in school. These are her words. It's expensive, fear of the unknown, and they've got a big country, many landscapes, but all one culture, so it feels quite safe, and they've got all they need, really, beaches, mountains, etc. Something that we spoke about on the show before, but she just wanted to share her thoughts. As well as these thoughts, she also thinks it's hilarious that we talk about Spain as like a little trip, no big deal. We're actually going to Spain for a wedding in August, just for the weekend, no big deal. That's actually a true story. Amy's friend's getting married.
Yes.
Gavin Ailes said we've inspired him to go back to Brazil. Amazing. Obligatory Traveller said we are one of her favourite podcasts. You are one of our favourites, Obligatory Traveller. Burford's World on Twitter said we're one of the most professional amateur podcasts that he's ever heard. And Danielle Aitken said we are legends. And her and some of her friends are beyond keen for Beyond Sahara Festival 2019. Tom Walsh listened to our very negative Cuba episode and then said, great, I'm going there in 3 weeks.
Oh, God.
Oh, sorry, Tom.
We hope you enjoyed it more than we did.
Yeah, maybe you learned from some of our mistakes, hopefully. Special mention to Ashley Taylor, who we surprised on a night out in our hometown of Chelmsford. That is a true story.
That was so much fun.
It was good. Basically, one of Amy's friends said, this is going to sound weird, but one of my friends is amazed that I know you guys, and she listens to the show. So we surprised her on a night out. It was really good.
She made us feel famous, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And Connor Doyle said that we're keeping him inspired and entertained during his boring night job. Alex Burkhart has invited us to an Amish community with him in America.
Oh my God, we've so got to do that. I've always wanted to see an Amish community.
Yeah,
that would be really interesting.
That is your bucket list, isn't it? On your bucket list?
I don't think it's actually written on there, but I will put it on. That's definitely something I want to do.
I think that's in like Pennsylvania area of America. And finally, we also heard from Mark Dickinson and Guilherme Lefebvre.
I bet these names look nothing like you're saying them.
Guilherme Lefebvre. We'll go with that.
Guillermo? Is it Guillermo?
It's hard, isn't it?
Oh, that's actually quite hard now. Okay.
We'll go with what I said.
I'll take that
I'm
back.
very sorry, everyone. I'm quite bad at pronouncing names and cities, but thank you so much to everyone that got in touch. This is amazing to get this feedback from you guys. So keep it coming. We love hearing that real people are out there listening to the show.
Yeah, it really spurs us on. So thank you. This might seem like a part of the show where we just kind of blow our own trumpet, but no, we just want to say hi. So thanks for saying hi.
It's getting listeners involved.
Absolutely. And if you ever get a chance, please, can you write us an iTunes review, because it helps more people see our podcast. It helps it to be more visible, and it really helps to get the show out there. So if you've got a sec, then head over to iTunes.
So coming up on the show, you guys will hear game show facts and language lessons with Amy. We'll be talking about Salta, Cordoba, Rosario, and Buenos Aires. Now, our game this month, this is an interesting one. It's called Raise the Stakes, which is a genius name because, as most people know, Argentina is famous for steak. And we actually got out of the studio to play this one. We played it on location in a steak restaurant, and we filmed it with the help of YouTuber Karl Watson. Regular listeners of the show will know who he is. And we also had the help of YouTuber Searle. And Chris put together this video and he done a great job. It looks really good. So as well as all of that stuff, we'll also be chatting about food, wine, hitchhiking, and tango dancing.
Right, so let's talk about Argentina, Nick. And let's start with, of course, game show facts.
There's some good ones coming at you. Located in South America, Argentina stretches 4,000 kilometers from its subtropical north to Antarctica in the south. The population is around 44 million and the major language is Spanish. The capital city is Buenos Aires, which means good air in English. Like much of South and Central America, Argentina is a former Spanish colony. The word Argentina comes from the old Latin word for silver. In 1982, Argentine military invaded British-claimed Falkland Islands in the South Atlantic, but are expelled months later by the British Armed Forces after a bloody battle. The military government at the time falls the following year. The Falkland Islands are locally known as the Malvinas Islands in Argentina. Ownership of these islands are still disputed by Britain and Argentina today. The rivalry continues between these two countries because in the 1986 Football World Cup, Argentinian footballer Diego Maradona scored a goal with his hand against England. This is known as the Hand of God. Speaking of God, Maradona is literally worshipped as a god. He's the only footballer in the world to have his own religion. On the topic of football, arguably the best player in the world, Lionel Messi, is from Rosario in Argentina. I actually think Ronaldo is the best player in the world, but this is not the time to get into that. Messi is so popular that officials in Rosario have banned parents from naming their children Messi because they were afraid it would cause too much confusion for the locals. One of the most famous first ladies in history and the most admired and loved in Argentina, Evita Peron, became a global symbol of freedom and feminism for her political battles. The current Pope, Pope Francis, is from Argentina and he's the first non-European to be chosen. He once worked as a bar doorman in Buenos Aires. Argentina was the first country in Latin or South America to legalise same-sex marriage in 2010. Argentina is famous for top quality beef, wine and tango dancing.
Amazing facts there, of course, Nick, but I'm going to dispute one of them. How does Maradona have his own religion? You have to tell us more.
This is true. There are people, I think, on the top of my head, I think there's about 200,000, maybe 20,000, something like that, people who they say their religion is Diego Maradona. He's got his own churches. People actually pray to him. This is a real thing.
Right, let's move on to language lessons with Amy. Now, we've done Spanish before on the show, and that was for our Ibiza episode. But in Argentina, they speak a bit of a hybrid between Spanish and Italian. It's quite a mix. To clear this up for us, you'll now hear a conversation between us and our Buenos Aires tour guide, Fernando. So I was saying, even though it's a bit of a hybrid, is hello still hola?
Sí, hola.
And goodbye is quite Italian, right?
Sí, we say here ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao, that is not ciao, but it's pretty much like the same. We just transform it a little bit.
So let's hear, instead of adios, but is that the same for the whole of Argentina?
Yeah, pretty much. That one spread it quite big here. Maybe in some places you say adios, more in the countryside, where it's like more calm. Yeah, but if not ciao, now it's used all around the country.
How are you?
¿Cómo estás?
And how do you say, can I have a beer, please?
Dame una birra, por favor.
So there you said birra, not cerveza.
Yeah, so it's quite Italian, isn't it?
Yeah, the Italians, as said, are like the biggest influence that Buenos Aires once had. And as Italian and Spanish are quite similar languages, imagine that when we speak Spanish, it's like an Italian that learned how to speak Spanish taught by a Spanish person. Mm-hmm. So we have an accent, but not the same one that the Spanish. We change it into the double L's and Y's. So you see why here we don't say pollo, we say pollo. Mm-hmm. This is also why some Italian words, the ciao, the birra, but these are only a few of them. There are other ones that we have on our dialect that will make you think sometimes that we can be a little bit Italian, but then you listen at it and it's really Spanish, which makes people to be confused because of this, because they don't know what you're listening at and they just stop trying eventually.
So just to confirm, so if you're looking at a word and it's got two L's in it, it's a ja sound.
Sha. But also if it has a Y. Y is the same thing. It's not yo, it's sho.
Yeah. So we're standing in, we would say Plaza de Mayo, but it's called
Plaza de Mayo.
Okay, and back to the language. Thank you.
Thank you, gracias.
Same as Spanish. How about sorry?
Sorry, perdón. No, some of them we have that are similar. For example, when something is very good here, you can say muy bien, proper Spanish, or re bien. Actually, that one comes from the très bien français. They're from the French, say like muy bien, like très bien, re bien. There's just a slight change, and to the language, because also the thing that we do is we roll our R's a lot. So that is something that a lot of countries had a problem with. But they cannot rrr. And I want you to see if you can. Can you rrr?
No.
Oh, a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, but that is the other strong letter that we have. The R here. The R, double L's and Y's, and then after that, play with your hands. If that doesn't work.
Thank you, Fernando, for that language lesson. We will hear more from him later in the show, and he'll also explain why there is such an Italian influence on Argentinian culture.
So should we kind of explain our trip briefly of where we went in Argentina? So when you're looking at Argentina, we came in from the north because we came from Brazil. We started in Iguazu Falls and then went all the way left across to Salta. Then we travelled down to Cordoba. Where was the next place?
From Cordoba,
Rosario.
Yeah, went to Rosario and then Rosario to Buenos Aires.
Yeah, and then from there we went into Uruguay, which we'll talk about on a later episode. But that's briefly kind of where we went. And like I said earlier, the main motivation for us going to Argentina was because of my bucket list. It was number 55, go to my most desired country, Argentina. I'm going to mention him again. The reason that's always been my most desired country is because of my ex-boyfriend.
Great.
But yeah, no, just because I've always known his family, I wanted to see their culture for real.
Yeah, exactly. You've heard lots of stories they've told about home, about Argentina, so you've always wanted to go. So it's quite dangerous going to a country of such high expectations.
Yeah, so that's something I was really worried about, actually. And it's safe to say it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
It lived up to them.
I think by the end of it, it had. Maybe at the start, we'll go into it. At the start, it maybe didn't hit the heights. So first of all, Iguazu Falls. I mean, yeah, it's a huge waterfall. We've spoken about it before on our Brazil episode. It's not really a place you can, judge the country by. It's just a natural wonder. But the Argentinian side, that was your favourite, wasn't it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely the side to go for really good views. You can get quite close on the Argentinian side. I remember being quite close and getting a little bit wet, and it was a really good place for photos, which you'll find out because all the tourists are there right in that spot and you want to get that photo without anyone else in it for your Insta. But yeah, I thought it was amazing. And we walked a lot on the Argentinian side. I mean, I thought we'd just kind of turn up, yay, this looks great, take photos and leave. But no, we were actually walking for like 6 hours. And I mean that in a good way. Like there were so many different places to walk to. There's a lot of animals around. And yeah, it's really cool.
It was a hike, but great tip. This is only for the Argentinian side. You can't pay on credit card to get in.
That's so true.
So you have to get cash out. And the Brazilian side, you can pay on card and it's completely fine. They're run very separately, like they're two different companies really, but you need cash. And I can't remember exactly. It was £30-40 to get in. I don't know what that would be in Argentinian pesos, but you need cash with you. So that's a really good tip. So like I said, we spoke about it before. Is there anything else to say about Iguazu? Should we Move on.
Well, go back and listen to our Brazil episode because we nearly got divorced over this. Because basically, when we was there on the day, Nick was like, yeah, this is cool. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And then he waited like 2 months till we came home to record our Brazil episode to announce that he didn't think it was that great and he can't see the big deal with waterfalls.
Not bothered by waterfalls. I'm not going to go into it again, but just not bothered. And people have agreed with me since the Brazil episode. A few people have said, I'm with you, Nick. Who gives a shit about a waterfall? Let's be honest.
Well, people have come up to me as well and they're like, what is he talking about? So I think it's a 50-50 split here.
I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm so bored of it. So yeah, moving on. We took a long bus journey to Salta, which is in the north. Now, we were actually told by Adele, who we met at one of our faux parties. She's from South Africa. She's been to Salta before and she didn't really rate it.
She's actually been to over 100 countries, so, you know, her opinion's quite valid.
I think about 70, 100 is a lot. It's still a lot. But what I'd say is we would agree with her. Salta itself wasn't much to look at, but the good thing about Salta is what you can do in the surrounding areas. So one of the main things we wanted to do was go to the salt flats, Salinas Grandes, which are the
Spanish
second.
there.
Thank you very much. The second largest salt flats, okay, behind Bolivia, which of course are the most famous salt flats. But we knew we weren't going to go there, so we wanted to do that. And on the way to the salt flat, there is a mountain called the Seven Color Mountain. I'll let Amy translate that in Spanish.
Cerros de los Siete Colores.
Very good. And what we did one day, it was really cool actually. We hired a car, me, Amy, and this guy.
Hi guys, this is Philip from Switzerland. Cheers.
And we took a road trip from our hostel. It's about a 3-hour drive to the salt flats, 3-hour drive back. But that was a really cool day. I definitely would recommend it. And some of the mountains that we drive over and that you see are incredible. To me, I thought this is probably what Bolivia looks like. That certainly would have been the closest we've ever had to the Bolivian experience.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day as well. So it was Boxing Day. For anyone that doesn't know, that's what we call the day after Christmas. So it was probably one of the best Boxing Days I've ever had, rather than stuffing myself with loads of food. Yeah, it was great and we'd never been to salt flats before. So I would imagine, obviously we haven't been to the Bolivian ones. I would imagine if you've already been there, this place wouldn't be that impressive. But if you haven't been before, it's great.
For sure. I really liked it. And that's the place, people that don't know, where you can take all them weird like depth perception pictures, you know. Some people can look really small, some people look really big. Some people are really clever and they bring like little toy dinosaurs and they stand next to it as if the dinosaur's massive and things like that. So you can have a lot of fun.
They were a lot harder than I thought though.
Yeah.
And I studied photography. So yeah, I was quite surprised how hard those depth perception photos are. Can I just very quickly briefly go back to the long coach journey we did from Iguazu to Salta? I believe this was the one that we took. Do you remember what happened at 2 a.m?
Oh, there was a kid with a whistle.
Yep. So we are sleeping on this overnight bus, and you know when you're half asleep and you're just like kind of annoyed at something, like your alarm going off or something. No, there's a kid at the front of the bus playing with a whistle, and the mum is giving them this as a toy, and they just kept blowing it and blowing it and blowing it, and I just didn't really know what was going on. I'd just woken up. Next thing I know, Nick's getting up off of his seat, and I'm thinking surely he's going to the toilet, whatever. But no, walked straight up to the mum and was like, what you doing?
Yeah, well, the reason why I got up so quickly, I'd normally leave those type of things. I'm very British, where we'd like complain under our breath, but we wouldn't say anything. But I was just thinking, it's 2 or 3 in the morning, everyone's trying to sleep. There's no way you can ever explain this to me where I'm going to think it's acceptable for a kid to do that. So I just went straight up, went over there in like English and Spanish. I was like, por favor. And then I did like the symbol like with my hands to make it look like I was sleeping on my hands. I was like, por favor, trying to sleep. Shush, shut the fuck up. And then they did. I just couldn't understand why.
No, they didn't. No, because
they did.
10 minutes later she was playing with it again.
Well, I was asleep then.
Oh, well, I was awake from that point. No, if you have children or if you have a whistle, this is not acceptable. Don't do that.
It's not acceptable. I just couldn't believe it. People trying to sleep. But yeah, long bus journeys. And while we're on buses, we're going to mention later a great tip for going around South America, because bus is the main way to travel. It's the most affordable way to travel. But even if it's a really hot, sunny day, they blast the air conditioning big time. So bring warm clothes with you, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're a cold person like me. Do it. Also, while we were in Salta, we went to a wine tour in a place called Cafayate, and this is where they make white wine. So down in Mendoza. That's where they make red wine, but this is up in the north where they make white wine. This was booked for our hostel, and on our way we stopped at a few rock formations again, and one of them was this really cool dried up waterfall. I'd never seen a dried up waterfall before. I didn't really know what to expect. Like on the tour bus, it's like, and now we're going to a dried up waterfall, and you're like, cool.
I'm thinking, so it's a worse version of Iguazu.
Yeah, it's Iguazu minus the water. This is going to be boring. Anyway, we got out of the car and started walking up all the rocks, and you get in and it's like this cave, and it's beautiful. Seeing the way that all the water is carved out, the rock, it was just amazing. And what made it an even better experience was there was a guy there playing traditional panpipes. I actually think panpipes are probably in my top 3 favourite instruments. They sound incredible. They really do. But it's really good echo points. They've got really good acoustics in this cave, hence why they've actually done theatre in there and gigs and things like that. It's that amazing. But we thought we've got to check out this echo for ourselves. So Nick had to have a go, didn't he?
Echo! What the fuck? I'm always promoting. I never switch off. What can I say? So, yeah, that was, like Amy said, on the way to Cafayate for our wine tour. And when we got there, Cafayate seemed like quite a nice small town, not much going on. It's quite famous for being dry. Our tour guide said it only rains 50 days of the year. Okay, so not many.
But did it rain the day
and
that
of
we were
course,
there?
when we were there, the Brits were in town. That's the day it rained, so the tour guide thought it was quite funny. But that's why they make the wine that they do, because I think it's a fairly high altitude, but yeah, it's very dry and it gets lots of sunshine. But the tour itself, yeah, it wasn't really that great. We didn't try much wine. I think we only had 2 very small glasses.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, if you want to sip 2 different types of wine, and I mean sip, and then not really learn much and be told within 5 minutes how they make the wine in Spanish, which completely understandable. It's in a Spanish-speaking country, but it was a tour for English people. If that's what you want to do, then definitely go to this tour.
Bien, acá en bodega debe mantenerse una temperatura entre 14 a 18 grados.
Here in the wine cellar, the temperature should be maintained at 14 to 18 degrees Celsius. Light should be dim as it helps the cellaring and aging processes. Our wine line, Pedro Moises, is a blend. It contains 4 types of grapes in different percentages: Malbec, Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, and Tannat. This type of wine is cellared and aged for 11 months in the barrel. Our cellar has an annual production of 150,000 liters, which is around 250,000 bottles. 50% of them get exported. You can find our wines in Canada, USA, Denmark, Germany, and England. The remaining production is sold in our wine cellar. As our production is limited, it is not massively sold in all cities. If you wish to take pictures, you can do so now. Then we can move to the next room for some wine tasting.
Tomar fotos, pueden hacerlo y luego vamos a pasar a la sala para realizar la degustación.
So that was our wine tour, and expertly translated by long-term listener of the show, Andrea Reyes. Thank you very much for doing that. But I'm just going to wrap up the whole wine experience. Yeah, we wanted to do a wine tour because we're in Argentina. It's famous for wine. And like you said, Mendoza is the red wine region, but we weren't going to be going there on this trip. So we wanted to squeeze a bit of wine in. But to be honest, it wasn't that good. What I would say is save it for Mendoza if you can.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, actually. Yeah. Also, while we were staying in Salta, another thing that you can do when you arrive, and this is actually in the town of Salta, so you don't have to drive anywhere or hire a car, is the Museum of High Altitude. So back in 1999, mummified remains of 3 Inca children were discovered at the top of a mountain. They're said to be the best preserved mummies in the world, which is insane. These children were actually buried alive as well. They were sedated when they were put up there as part of a sacrifice ritual. So that sounds really horrific to you and I, and it probably was. It was probably quite painful, but back then it was seen as such a great honour. So we went into this museum and we saw them, didn't we? So you walk through, you learn about them, and at the end you then see them, and they have them out on rotation. So I think one day they have them in the case in the museum and they take it back to the fridge. I want to say the fridge.
Well, yeah, wherever they're stored.
Yeah, and they because they need perfect conditions to preserve them, obviously. But I would definitely. We're not museum people, and I would recommend going to that. I can't remember. I think it was roughly about $3 ish.
Yeah, I don't think it was much to get in.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. It was weird. Like, it was strange seeing the bodies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never seen anything like it before. And you learn a bit of Incan history, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would recommend it, yeah.
But just to sort of describe, so they still look like humans. So with a mummy, I think traditionally in your head you imagine that they've got tape wrapped around them, like mummified like that, but they weren't. Their skin, their skin looks like leather, but it still looks like real skin. And with, I don't know about anyone else, but with like dead bodies and stuff, hair freaks me out quite a lot, and their hair was just perfect.
It was, yeah.
They look like they died like yesterday or the day before. Really, they're that well preserved, but it's not really that freaky. I'd recommend going for sure.
Yeah, do that. And this reminds me, just before we went in, we exchanged some money with the Cambio men. And This is actually quite a good tip, because I don't know what it is about Argentina. For me anyway, it's the most expensive place to take money out of a cash machine. So you want to try and limit that as much as possible. Now, there are guys on the side of the street, the Cambio men, who
Cambio.
Yeah, listen out for them going Cambio. And they will
Which means change, by the way.
Yeah, they will change US dollars into Argentinian pesos, and actually they give you a decent rate. It's actually pretty good. Like, we did the maths and we thought, right, if we're going to get mugged off, we're going to say no to this guy, and he offered us a great price, and we think, easy. I don't think really it's legal, but everyone does it. The cash machines are way too expensive.
Yeah, it's not strict. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of in between legal and illegal, but we did later find out it was because they had such a crash in their economy that things like this started to come out. So they had quite a bad recession. Argentinian
people don't trust banks.
Basically, yeah, just hide it under your bed.
That is actually what they do. Yeah. So let's move on. Our next destination, Cordoba. Now, after a long overnight bus journey from Salta, literally the first thing we did when we got to Cordoba is we put our bags in the bus station and we went on a walking tour, because it was the morning and we were meeting our couchsurfing host later in the day. So we went on a free walking tour around Cordoba. After the tour, we spoke to the guide Antonella. Now, during the tour, she mentioned the missing children of Argentina. So we asked her to explain who they are.
Well, the missing children were the children born in the dictatorship. In the last dictatorship, we had women taken away for political reasons, political prisoners, and many of them were pregnant, and those babies were given in adoption to military families or different institutions. So we consider them missing too. They are alive, they are living among us, they just don't know their identities.
And you said that they can get a free DNA kit taken.
Yes, if they are between 34 years old and 41 years old, whoever Argentinian is between that ages, and they have hesitated about their origins, they can run a free DNA test to trace their genes and find out if they're missing children.
And you're still finding people today?
Yes, yesterday or the day before yesterday, they found the number 127. And 2 weeks ago, they found the number 126. So we are waiting for the next one, the number 128.
And what happens when you find them?
Well, the family gets in touch with their biological family. They usually get money out of the government. So many people think, some people against the government or against these organizations think it's wrong. But it's like, don't know how to say it in English. Es como una recompensa, reward for what they suffer.
Compensation.
A compensation. But basically, they just get in touch with their family and get to know their biological family.
Let's talk about food. So, and drink as well. So, can you just quickly explain what empanadas are?
Well, empanadas. That's a very hard thing to explain in English.
It's actually very similar to something we have at home called a pasty. So it's kind of like pastry rolled up, but you can have lots of fillings, can't you? What can you get inside
you can
them?
find 50 types of empanadas. They can fill with meat. They can be sweet or spicy or regular meat. They can be cut with a knife. They can be matambre or different types of meat, chorizo meat. They can be vegetables, and you can find 50 types of them because each vegetable, alone or with cheese, or different types of cheese, Roquefort, blue, they can be filled with pretty much everything.
And something that I think is definitely Argentinian, well, Italian and then Argentinian, but I think quite special to Cordoba. Can you tell us what Fernet is?
Well, in Cordoba, it's insane how crazy we are for Fernet because we are the biggest consumers in the world. So it was an Italian beverage used a long time ago in Italy as a digestive. They brought it with the immigration wave, and here we mixed it with Coca-Cola, and we became so fan of it that we're now the biggest consumers in the world. Now, the funny thing is that it was only made in Italy, and because we drink it so much, Branca, the brand that makes Fernet in Italy, in Milan, they decided to put the second factory in the world in Cordoba. So now we own the second factory in the world of Fernet, even though it's not an Argentinian drink.
Can you tell our listeners where they can find your tour, and of course, what's the name of the company?
Well, the name of the company is in Cordoba, La Docta Free Walking Tour. We're on TripAdvisor, Facebook, on the website, or if you can just come to the Cordoba city and do the tour. We are every day at 11 from San Martin Square.
That was Antonella from La Docta Free Walking Tours. I would definitely recommend going on one of those because we did quite a few different things actually. We danced in the middle of the street.
That's true, we did.
That was weird. So she was teaching us like the local dance, which if you're into your dance is a little bit like merengue. So it's quite simple, step from one foot to the other while shaking your hips. Quite Latino. Yeah, it was quite fun. And we were in the middle of the street and lots of local people were looking at us like, what are those foreigners doing? But yeah, it was good. So she was talking a lot about food in that interview. And obviously, Argentina is so famous for steak. And like I said earlier, we're going to be playing our game, Raise the Stakes, which I'm very excited to show you. But yeah, steak and red wine is such a big part of culture there. And I just wanted to explain, if you want to go to a really good grill steak restaurant, they're called Parrillas, and that's spelled Parrillas. So that's what Fernando was saying earlier. So with the two L's, it's a ja sound, so Parrillas. But if you want steak, go to a Parrilla.
Good advice. And speaking of food, what Argentinians like to eat would be an asado.
Yes.
Which to me and you is a barbecue. Again, a lot of it is based around meat, but asado is great. They bring you lots of different courses. Start off with empanadas. We were talking about them earlier. And you have pretty much all the pieces of the animal, including the intestines, which I like to try everything, but I'd admit they weren't that good.
Tongue is quite a popular thing there as well, actually. Just kind of on the buffet. That's not even heated up. It's kind of, just in the buffet bit. And we ate so much meat. What did you get, Nick?
On this trip, I got gout, or as countries who speak Spanish know it as gota.
Gota, yeah.
Where you eat too much meat and too much red wine, basically living the high life too much. Like back in the day, many years ago, like old kings and queens of England used to get gout because they'd overindulge in food. But yeah, I mean, while we were there, I wanted to try all the local delicacies, of course. But yeah, I got gout, which is quite embarrassing. It's quite funny.
It's quite funny because we're backpacking, so we're meant to be living cheaply, yet you're getting a rich man's disease.
Yeah. And then I'm limping around. It was quite bad. My foot was really swollen.
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
it?
in all seriousness, it was quite bad and you couldn't really walk. But our Argentinian family, as we like to refer to them, helped us, who we will explain later.
You'll hear about them soon.
So, of course, we couldn't do an Argentinian episode, talk about food and drink, without talking about mate. Nick, what's mate?
Maté. This was a revelation for me on this trip. I've never heard of it before. It's tea, basically. So, of course, in Britain, we love tea. We're big tea drinkers, but so are Argentinians. But it's very different. You see people walking around with this pot, and it looks like there's kind of some herbs in the pot, like these green leaves, and they carry around a big flask of boiling water, and they just carry it around with them all day. And then they pour the boiling water into this tea, top it up, but you drink it through a metal straw. And at the bottom of the straw is like mesh. So you put the straw in this like mixture of water and green leaves, and you think you're going to suck up and swallow these green leaves, but you don't because of the mesh in the straw. But they keep drinking it all day long. Like in the car, people have it on days out. They're carrying their flasks around, and it's delicious. And actually, it's supposed to be very good for your brain. So apparently students use it to focus, and the World Cup's going on right now, and apparently the secret weapon for the Argentinian football team is Maté. They drink Maté before a game because apparently it's good for your mind and your body. So while we're in Cordoba, after our walking tour, which is very interesting, and actually Antonella brought up a very important point in Argentinian history, the missing children, which is very sad that kids are taken away from their home, but there are some happy endings. People are finding their families again, which is nice. But after that tour, learning a lot about food and Cordoba and Argentinian history, we met up with our couchsurfing host, Marcus. Now, what can I say about Marcus? He is a couch surfer's dream.
Yeah,
like
absolute
the ultimate host. Like, really nice guy, but what a great host. We were with him for 3 days. The first night, his friend Dolores, have I got that right?
Dolores, yeah, which means pain in Spanish.
It does. Dolores came over and cooked us a meal. Now, this food, let me describe this to you. Now, imagine pizza, okay? Take away the bread base and replace it with pork.
This is why you got gota.
Exactly. It was just a big fat bit of pork with then the tomato sauce, the tomato puree on it, loads of cheese, and it was delicious.
It's called matambre, by the way. I didn't know if you remembered.
Well remembered. But we just had a great night chatting, drinking beers and just eating food. We had to quickly get used to their way of eating. They don't really eat till like 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, which is strange for us. But it was really, really good. And we did quite a few things with Marcus. He showed us a bit around town. He took us out for an asado the night after, a barbecue, which was just great. And on the last day when we were about to leave, he gave us a present. Well, he gave me a present. He gave me his Boca Juniors football top. Aww. So not only are we staying at his house for free, he gave us a free gift as well.
It was really, really sweet. And like you're saying, he was such a great host. So I believe we were the first or second people that he's hosted.
Second.
Yeah. And he was so sweet. He actually offered us his bed. So he was like sleeping in the lounge and he gave us his bed. But can I just say, when we were there in Cordoba, it was probably the hottest place I've ever been. So we've been to the Sahara Desert and places like that. That Sahara Desert needs to catch up because they need to see what they're doing in Cordoba. It's so hot. I actually had to have a nap in the afternoon because it was so hot. Sleeping with a fan on all night. Oh, it was just relentless.
Yeah, there was a day where it was too hot to do anything. Yeah, you were sleeping. Me and Marcus were watching Spanish Simpsons. I'm like, I could follow it because I'd seen the episode many times before. But
Good way to learn Spanish, though.
Yeah, but it was just too hot to do anything. I mean, it was January, it's proper summer there. Cordoba was ridiculously hot.
So one of the days that we were just hanging out in the apartment with Marcus, we thought we'd have a chat with him because we wanted to know what he liked, what he maybe didn't like so much about his country.
One of the things that I'm proud, we've been talking earlier, it's the public education we have here. It's very, very good education. It's for free. You can study here even if you are English, if you are Peruvian, if you are Bolivian, if you are Brazilian. You can study in my country for free. You have to pay only for the books, sometimes not. But it's education guarantee, you know.
So if you study at university here, if you're English, all the lessons are in Spanish?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, we can't. That's good. So like, if someone English person wanted to learn Spanish and another subject, here's a perfect place.
Yeah, it could be a fantastic place to come if you want to, practice Spanish, like you said, Amy. So yeah, you're very proud of the education system here in Argentina. But yeah, what are some of the challenges you think for Argentinian people at the moment? I know you told us, in your personal opinion, you're not too happy with the government. Is that right?
I'm not happy with my government right now. Right-wing government. It's been 2 years since they arrived. They took the presidents. We have to wait 2 years more. But that's democracy, how it works, you know? But anyway, things here are changing every time. Pensions, they're cutting down. The health education also was one of the things that I'm proud of this country. Are getting down too, you know? They are shutting down the medicine for all people. Those things were for free before. And now they aren't anymore, or part of them, a big part of them. And We have a government who, repress,
Repressed, yeah.
repress, hidden the people, for protest, and in a bad way. I mean, like I never see before.
So we are sitting in your flat in Cordoba right now, and the electricity has just come back on, which is good because it was really hot. It's like 37 degrees.
That I'm not proud of my country.
The electricity. But Cordoba is like a really cool place. We really like it so far. But what are the things you can do when you come to Cordoba?
The things you can do when you come to Cordoba is so big. You have a lot of things to do. You have a lot of nice people, a lot of culture, nice culture. You got many bands playing, street artists, so many bars. We are football lovers, we are so passionate. We got Cuarteto music. You've been dancing before.
Yeah.
We got the Fernet. We got a lot of drinks. A lot of places to visit. Museums, parks, big parks. It's nice to be here in Cordoba, and you got Las Sierras here, a few kilometers.
The mountains.
Mountains with rivers. It's very, very nice.
Yeah, cool. And you mentioned the bars. We were drinking at a bar last night, and just because me and Amy are from England, we've got a voucher for free drinks, so we're going to go back there later, aren't we? So yeah, the nightlife in Cordoba is good. There's lots of cool places.
In another bar.
Yeah, let's go to another bar and get more free drinks. Let's do it.
I love that. So basically we said, what can you do in Cordoba? And he basically said, there's drinks. You can get drunk.
Sounds great. Let's go to Cordoba.
So before we play our Raise the Stakes game, let's have a little chat about Marcus's music, because he's a big musician, isn't he? And I think that says a lot about Argentinian people, because I would say out of all the Argentinians I've met, 80-90% of them are musicians.
Really?
They love their music.
Oh wow. And they're quite the creative type.
Absolutely.
Artistic type.
Yeah, and most of them, they're the type of people that not only would they play instruments, but they'll make their own instruments. Do you know what I mean? Like carve out of wood and stuff like that. They're just very creative people.
But yeah, music was certainly Marcus's passion. You can tell that's what he really wanted to do with his life. So we're going to take a little break now, and we are going to listen to some of Marcus's music.
Esa luz platiforme que me arrastra conforme tu maldad. Yo quisiera escapar, pero es tu verdad tan bella. Estatua de cristal, dime quién te amará.
Wow, an Argentinian man singing, playing guitar. That's got to be like Viagra for you women, isn't it? Yeah, it's doing it for me a little bit, actually.
Okay, do you want to admit something on the podcast today, Nick? Or
do you not think, though? Do you think around the world, people listening, I say people, do you think women around the world listening are having wide-ons? Do you know what a wide-on is?
a wide-on?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
So this is something I've learned from my colleague Rob at work.
Right,
So
okay.
knowing what he's like, it's the women's equivalent of a hard-on.
A wide-on?
Yeah? Do you get it?
Should I get it?
There'll be people around the world getting this right now, but you don't get it. Let's move on. If you ladies want to hear more of Marcus, you can do that by going on YouTube and search Viento Rock and Roll CBA. You'll find him.
Lovely stuff. Now let's get cracking with our game. So, as I explained at the start, our Argentinian game is called Raise the Stakes because, I mean, steak is amazing and Argentina is famous for it. So, of course, we had to play a game about steak. So we've been out and about this month, which is really fun. We have recorded the game in our local steakhouse called Chop Block in Chelmsford. Thanks very much, guys, for letting us film in there again. We were with Karl Watson, the man, the legend that he is.
Oh, God.
But he paid me to say that, so...
Yeah. He was like the quiz master for the game, wasn't he?
Yeah, and Chris Searle very kindly filmed it for us, so definitely head over to our Facebook page and Instagram and stuff to check out the video.
Exactly, yeah. We filmed it all because we're thinking we always play these games, but you guys never actually see us play the game. So now you can. And the game is quite simple. Me and Amy were sat at a dinner table. We had a steak each. and we had to answer questions that Karl was reading out. And every time we got a question right, we could eat a piece of steak, okay? But if we don't know the answer, we can choose to raise the steaks and pass it on to the other person, at which point 2 bits of steak are up for grabs.
So whoever finishes their plate first wins.
Exactly. Genius game, genius name. Let's get to it.
Okay, so welcome back. We're now 2 hours into Raise the Steaks, and we have cut the steak up into 10 pieces. We're going to go ladies first, so the first question is going to be for Amy. Okay. Amy, are you ready?
I think so.
Are you ready to raise the steaks?
To raise the stakes, I am.
Okay, question number 1. What do the French call le manche?
Ooh, le manche. Could I have a spelling, please, Quizmaster?
Was my pronunciation not very good?
Well, I mean, I just want to visualise it in my head.
So, le is L-A.
Yeah.
Manche is M-A-N-C-H-E.
M-A-N-C-H. I'm trying to kind of link this to Spanish, thinking if it...
He's so confident he's already eaten chips. He's just gonna... Whilst you're thinking that one, I'm going to have some snacks.
So I think Nick won't know this. So if I raise the steaks and give it 2 to him, if he gets it wrong, do I get 2 pieces of steak?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm going to raise the stakes then.
Le mange, I would say.
He's even saying it wrong. Le mange.
Oh.
La manche.
La manche. I think it sounds like blancmange, which is like jelly or fat. I'm going to go jelly.
Okay, you're wrong.
So you.
So I get to eat 2 pieces of steak.
Yeah.
This is
the
amazing.
correct answer is the English Channel.
Oh, okay.
Never heard that.
This is a travel one, you know.
I'm going to put some sauce on this baby.
Amy takes an early lead though. How are you feeling, Nick, after that awful start?
No, that's fine. I can easily pull it back. It's very, very early days.
Play the game very well on the first round by Amy.
You successfully raised the stakes.
Rose the stakes.
Those steaks were rosed.
The stakes were risen.
I've done my 2 pieces of steak.
Welcome back to Raise the Stakes for question 2.
This is great.
So, Nick, which language is officially recognised in Brazil, Mozambique, Angola, and Macau?
Well, yeah, okay. It might not be the obvious, but
it might not be.
I'll go with Portuguese.
Final answer?
Yes.
That's correct.
Oh, that was an easy question, Carl.
Yeah, but he's only eaten 1 piece of steak, so you're still in the lead.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Sorry, I got
you're on my side.
You're on my side. 2-1 right now.
In this game, it's 2-1 right now, because that's the score.
Mm-hmm.
So far, this is my favourite game we've ever played on this show.
Okay, Amy, are you ready for your second question?
I am.
A trip to India's Golden Triangle comprises of Jaipur, Agra, and which other city, home of the Red Fort?
Oh, well, we've been there. We've done this route, so I'm going to say New Delhi.
That is correct.
Yes!
I would have also accepted Delhi, because that's what it says on the card. But
I thought you was going to be a bit tricky with me there, so I thought I'd go for the New Delhi.
So it's 3-1 to Amy. Question 2 for Nick. What are sometimes placed in the cracks of the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem?
It's definitely, I think, bits of paper, notes. I'm going to go prayers, but yeah, bits of prayers written on paper.
That is correct.
Oh, nice.
But I should have thought, would Amy have got that?
No, you got exactly right. Prayers, blankets on pieces of paper. So.
Great.
Play the game,
well
boy.
done.
Yeah, but if you didn't know, I could then eat 2 bits of steak rather than 1.
Still 3-2 to Amy. Amy, are you ready for your next one?
I am.
And this will get you in the mood for food.
Okay.
If you are eating fragrant meat in China, which animal are you consuming?
Oh, that's a tough question. Fragrant animals. Oh, I've never heard that before.
I haven't, but it's a fun question.
Good question. Bit
Thank
difficult. Well done, Carl.
Yeah.
Oh, see, now I don't. Nick's trying to not make eye contact with me now because he doesn't want to give away the fact that he doesn't know. I think. So I can safely say I don't know this for sure. I don't think Nick will know it.
Okay,
so I'm going to raise the stakes.
Once again, Amy is raising the stakes. Right, Nick.
Now, I know that in China, the Chinese, I should say, are the biggest consumers in the world of pork. Doesn't mean it's the right answer. I'm going to go with pork.
That's wrong.
Can I say what I would have gone with it if I had to answer? I would have said dog.
Yeah, you would have been right.
Oh.
So it's a good job you raised the stakes because it's now.
Yeah, so now I get to eat 2 pieces of steak.
You're playing the game.
So that's 5-2.
Am I going to win this, Nick?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
But you've got to eat these bits whole now. So.
Oh, can I just cut this little edge off?
Nah, just get a close up of Amy eating the whole bit of steak in one go.
I'm going to dip it in some oil just to make it extra dirt. Well,
Help
not
it
dirt,
slip
but help it.
Lube it up.
Gotta keep it.
Oh God,
keep
let's
it
go for
lubricated.
it.
Wait for it to eat that.
Nick,
yeah.
you're losing 5-2.
Yeah, it's not a good start, I admit. I think I should have passed the Jerusalem question on to you, and I think you would have got it wrong, so then I would have been
I would have got it right.
Oh, really? Oh, I did the right thing then. Couldn't have done anything else.
I knew that for sure. I don't think I'm going to get that in my mouth. All right, boys.
Just for the podcast, when there wasn't much audio there, we all smiled at Amy saying it. It was basically, in the air that's what she said.
She's doing these on purpose because the cameras are rolling.
No, I'm not. I'm like this all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't you know your wife? She always says this stuff.
When you're not around.
So it's now my question.
Yes. Okay. Nick.
And what, I'm losing 5-2.
2. All right, this is should be an easy one. By which name was the Indian city of Mumbai formerly known?
Yeah, I know it, but does Amy know it? Do I raise the stakes? I can't gamble at this stage. So Mumbai, which is now known as, used to be Bombay.
Correct.
One piece of steak.
5-3. Still smashing it, Amy. You're fine. Okay, are you ready for your fourth? Yes, fourth question. Amy.
Yes.
Okay.
So I've got 5 pieces of steak left.
Yeah.
So I'm halfway.
Yeah.
How many have you got?
5, 6.
Oh, you're only one. Okay.
Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
Okay, you can't count,
5-3.
so-
Yeah. First to 10, just for people who aren't keeping track. Right. Sort of a topical one.
Okay.
Name one of the 2 countries in South America which do not border Brazil.
Oh, okay.
So you just got to name one.
One of the 2. Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. I am going to say Colombia. Oh, one of the 2. Colombia.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, one of them would
Where
be...
the way it goes up in the corner.
One of them would be Uruguay.
Oh, no.
No, you're both wrong. It's
well, you got it wrong anyway.
Hang on. Chile. Yes.
Oh, of course.
Guyana. No. Back to work, cameraman.
French Guinea. French Guinea?
It's Chile or Ecuador.
Oh.
Does Uruguay really border Brazil?
According to this card, it does, and
I
that's
don't
all
think-
that matters.
I don't think it does.
Uruguay.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
That's so close to Brazil.
No, you're right.
Didn't you go from
Uruguay.
Brazil to Uruguay?
No, you're
Do you
sorry.
know what you're saying?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Do you mean Paraguay?
Yeah, no, you're right.
So,
Oh,
okay, so the question was, name one of the 2 countries in South America which
I
does
got
not
it wrong.
border Brazil. And the answers were Chile or Ecuador, and Amy got it wrong. So the
So what
scores are
happens-
still 5-3. It's over to Nick, but Nick can now close the
Okay.
gap. He can even equalise if you manage to raise the stakes on this next question,
Yep.
which is, which city
Which city?
today in the city? Which city served as the capital of the newly formed United States of America from 1790 to 1800?
So, which city?
Which city
is-
served as the capital? I'll say it in a normal voice.
Yeah,
Which-
I was too concentrating on your accent there.
Yeah, it's spot on accent, wasn't it? Which city served as the capital of the newly formed United States of America? Might have heard of that place. From 1790 to 1800.
Oh, so yeah, okay. So not the capital now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, and I don't think Amy knows. So I'm going to raise the stakes.
Okay. You're lucky here with this question because you know my American knowledge is just not good. I'm going to guess
You may as well.
Chicago.
No. No.
Philadelphia.
It is Philadelphia, yeah.
What's the cameraman?
Cameraman.
Man, the wrong person.
So, yeah, Philadelphia is where they
It's your
signed...
steak. You need to be playing the game.
It's where they signed the Declaration of Independence.
And the Liberty
Bell's
Bell.
there.
Oh.
Springsteen did a good song about there. It's a good town. Eagles have recently won the Super Bowl. It's I've never been there, but my mates have been
So
rave about it.
it's what?
Philadelphia.
You're saying a load of sports stuff there, and
I said Philadelphia before, but yeah.
oh, I didn't hear. Okay.
So Nick gets to eat 2 pieces, which he's doing right now. That means it's 5 each. So Nick is
Oh.
back in the game. Amy, are you
Okay.
ready?
Let's go for this.
Which large lake in Western Asia has such high salt content that no fish or aquatic plant life can survive in it?
Oh, okay. I know what one you're talking about, but I always get the name wrong. Wait, which one should I go for? Red
Large lake
or
in Western
dead?
Asia has
Oh,
such-
lake. No, I'm thinking about a sea that's salty. I'm thinking of the Dead Sea.
The terminology might not
Yeah.
particularly be right, but I don't know.
I'm going to go for it. I'm going to say the Dead Sea.
That is correct.
Oh,
6 to Amy, 5 to me.
Yes. If you were standing at the Iguazu Falls, which you have done recently, as mentioned on one of your podcasts, Over which two large South American countries would you be looking?
I'm thinking, is that a trick question? But it can't be. Brazil and Argentina.
Correct.
One piece of steak. We're back to level terms
6
again.
each. Yeah. All right. This one's it's still South America, but it's a bit more. This one's a bit more tricky. Okay. The largest flying bird in the world is also a national symbol of Chile, Ecuador, and Peru.
Oh.
Name that bird.
Does Nick know this? I wouldn't say I know this 100%. I've got a few ideas.
I don't think Nick knows it. Look at him.
No. I don't know, because when he doesn't know something, he lacks eye contact. But when he does know something...
But does he know you know that? And so he's double
Well, we
bluffing?
play that card game cheat quite a lot, and I kind of catch him out there.
No, sometimes you can get me every time, but other times...
Yeah, it depends what day it is.
The opposite happens, yeah.
You could take a 2-point lead, because it's 5-all. So if you pass it up to Nick and he messes it up.
Yeah. I'm going to raise the stakes.
Wow.
Nick. The largest flying bird in the world is also a national symbol of Chile, Ecuador, and Peru. What is its name?
Albatross.
Oh, no.
Wrong.
Yes.
I thought that was the biggest bird.
The Andean condor.
What?
Never would have got that.
Andean condor.
Yeah, would never have got that. I was thinking eagle or
The albatross is the biggest bird.
seagull.
There you go. Two pieces of steak.
There we go.
Oh, she raised the steak, so now you eat 2 bits.
Yeah, so it's 7-5 to Amy.
Back in the lead.
Oh my god.
All right, we'll take a short commercial break whilst Amy eats these 2 massive pieces of steak. Yeah, so it was 6-all, but because Amy successfully rose the stakes in that previous round, it's now 8-6 to Amy. And Nick's got the next question, I believe. More than half of Asia's population lives in which 2 countries?
Basically, the 2 most populous countries in Asia. Well, we know the obvious one
is.
Maybe we know. The obvious one's China. But then, do I go for it? Do I raise the stakes? I think at this point I need to gamble to try to get back in the game. So I'm going to. Am I being stupid here? I'm going to raise the stakes and pass it over to Amy.
So if Amy gets this right, she wins.
Game over.
Okay.
Go on in.
Amy. So here's the question. Yeah. I'm going to repeat the question. Here.
For intense effect.
Nick has raised the stakes on a very easy question. More than half of Asia's population lives in which 2 countries?
I'm going to say China and India.
Amy's won it, guys.
Yes!
Wow, yeah. I'm thinking Southeast Asia, India. I thought maybe China and Japan.
Oh, silly boy.
India, it's obvious.
Silly boy.
If you listen to the question,
Right.
I said Asia, not.
It just didn't think about it.
I'm going to get eaten with a steak.
Well done, Amy.
Amy has destroyed Nick today, winning 10-6 in Raise the Stakes. Nick, how do you feel about your terrible performance today?
Yeah, it was actually very bad. I am disappointed. What can I say? But I think we had fun. We got to enjoy some steak. And I think all that's left for me to say is La cuenta, por favor.
So, Nick, how do you feel about losing to me?
I'm gutted. I'm really embarrassed. I should have known that last question. It's one of them where you hear the answer and you just think, obviously, you idiot.
Well, the best person won on the day, didn't they?
But it was a fun, silly game, and Chris Searle, who was filming the whole thing, absolutely smashed it putting this video together.
Oh, we really did. We loved it when we first saw it. Like, our face was just beaming. You definitely need to go check it out. It's really fun. So you can see that on our YouTube page, What the Faux Travel Podcast, and also on our Facebook page. While you're there, give us a like. We need some more Facebook love. And also there'll be some clips on Instagram as well.
Moving on from our game. Now, this part of the trip gets interesting because we hitchhiked from Cordoba to Rosario. We knew we wanted to hitchhike at some point on the trip. And we'd done a bit of research and we heard that kind of this area of Argentina, like the middle of Argentina, was quite a good place to do it. So Marcus and his friend Dolores made us a sign. She drew it with her eyeliner.
Yeah. They didn't have a pen. So this is very kind of her because I'm not sure I'd give up my liquid eyeliner for this.
And they gave us a ride out of town, took us to a petrol station and dropped us off and it was raining, and we're thinking...
And I was scared.
Yeah, we're thinking what we're doing. We felt like idiots standing there with a sign, and then the staff at the petrol station said, you can't do this here.
I'd never felt so low in all my life, actually. I felt like such a low life. And also, if you want to see us doing this, I know I keep talking about social media, but you can check this out on our Instagram. We've got a story of us hitchhiking, and it shows exactly like who we met on the way and the whole sort of story.
Yeah, now, Amy, even though it looked like it was going to be a bad start, it was raining, the staff were telling us to move along. What happened 5 minutes later?
We got picked up after 5 minutes. And even though it was, I felt low, as in like a low life, and like they were looking at me as if I was scum. But I was in really high spirits. I think we both were. We're kind of happy, excited, nervous. And when it was raining, we actually didn't care because, you know, we're British, whatever. So we put a rain max on, walked a bit further away from the petrol station, and one of the cars that just filled up was driving towards us, and we did a little dance because, you know, you got to look happy as a hitchhiker, so we danced with our sign, and they drove past us, and then so we thought, okay, like they're not going to pick us up, and then they stopped, and we were like, I don't think we noticed for a few seconds, did we?
I think they honked the horn.
Yeah,
so,
and
we didn't see them,
and we were like, oh my God, they've stopped. So I run up to them to say, like, where are you going? ¿A dónde vas? ¿A dónde vas? And they were going kind of like quarter of our journey, basically. So we thought, why not? Let's get in the car. And it was a really nice car, really nice couple. And we got in there, and their names were Laura and Maximiliano. And they're a couple. They're both doctors. They have 2 children, and they are the most beautiful family I've ever met in my life.
And as this was our first time hitchhiking, we had to record this historic event.
Muchas gracias.
Hola. Hola. Thank you. Wow, that was only 5 minutes.
5 minutes. ¿Cómo te llamas?
Laura.
Laura y
Maximiliano.
Maximiliano. Okay. Amy y mi marido es Nick.
Nick. ¿De dónde? Where are you from?
Inglaterra. So that was Laura and Maximiliano. So they didn't have their children in the car at the time. So shortly after I stopped recording, something amazing happened. Laura actually just said to us, when you get to Buenos Aires, which will be in like a week's time, do you want to come and stay with us? And we were like blown away. Not only have they just picked us up in their car, they've met us for 5-10 minutes, and they're already inviting us to stay in their house. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, like, yes, we want to stay at your house. And one of the reasons, I think she wanted to practice her English, but because they have 2 young children, like you said, once they realised that me and you are normal people, we're of no danger, they wanted us to, you know, spend time with their kids speaking English, so it was kind of beneficial for everyone. But we've been waiting 5 minutes. These 2 doctors picked us up, and they've offered us a free place to stay. And they did have a very nice apartment in Buenos Aires.
Beautiful.
So we'll describe more of that when we actually get to Buenos Aires on this trip. But then, like you said, they took us about a quarter of the way. We swapped phone numbers, and they went off to see some family, I think, for New Year's Eve. Because, yeah, this is on New Year's Eve. I don't think you mentioned that.
So we were a bit worried. And also Marcus and Dolores, who we'd just been staying with in Cordoba, they were like, oh, I'm not sure you're going to get picked up. You know, people discouraged this in Argentina. And also it's New Year's, so everybody's going to be with their family. So, you know, we were quite worried, but we'd had our mindset that we were going to do this. So we thought, let's try it. If we fail, then we'll just stay in a hotel somewhere. But it worked out for the best.
It really did. And then when they dropped us off at another service station, you know, a quarter of the way, like Amy said, it then didn't take us long at all to get our second ride of the day.
Well, we actually didn't even wait because we were going to go in the shop to pick up some extra food, maybe go to the toilet, restock. And a lorry driver went past us and then stopped, and we were like, is he stopping for us? Like, we weren't even waiting on the side of the road. And again, I think he honked his horn, so we ran down to him, and he was like talking to us in Spanish, because he couldn't speak any English, which is good for us because I get to practice my Spanish. And he was like, yeah, I'm going this way. But we weren't sure at first because we've got Google Maps on our phones, and we were like, he's going the wrong way, and obviously if you get in a lorry with someone, you're just a little bit worried, aren't you? But he was so sweet.
He was amazing. And yeah, he was just going a different way to Rosario. And it was really cool to ride in this big lorry. It was one of them kind of cabins where he lives in it as well. So his bed's there. So
I was sitting on his bed.
Exactly. Me and him were sat in the front. Amy's on the bed, kind of in the back. And he was a really nice guy. And like you said, he didn't speak a word of English, but his favourite music was Robbie Williams.
So that was really weird, sitting on this guy's bed and, you know, I've got my hands in the air, getting the torch on my phone, get your lighters out. It was a very weird experience, but it was one of those times when you're traveling and we were kind of looking at each other and like, wow, like this morning we were with 2 people we hadn't met that we'd been staying with for 3 days. They were strangers and now they're really good friends. Now we're in a lorry with a man that we've never met before, can't speak the same, well, he can't speak English. I can only sort of briefly speak to him in Spanish, and it was just amazing. I love how generous people are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like you said, just been staying with someone for free. We're now getting a free ride of this guy, complete strangers, don't even speak our language. But that is what I love about traveling, when you do stuff every day and you think, like, this morning, I would have no idea that I'd now be doing this.
Yeah.
Like, every day is just a new adventure. And it was so cool and it's so satisfying just sat there watching the world go by, knowing that you've got this ride for free. And hitchhiking can be so up and down. You could be waiting for hours and be in the worst mood ever, but then when you get picked up, it's such a high. So it's a really, really cool experience. And we made it. Well, we almost made it all the way. He dropped us off at a bus station just outside Rosario, and we then got a bus into Rosario for New Year's Eve.
And the reason that we did that was because a lot of research online said it was really dangerous to hitchhike into the city. So we thought, you know, we've had a good run today. It's the first time. Let's be serious about this. We've had a good day, and and I think the bus only cost like a couple of pounds, so it was fine. We were happy to pay that. So we were on the bus for the remainder of it, but we got there safely in one piece, and it was good.
Absolutely. What wasn't good was Rosario.
Oh yes, the arrival destination.
So we're in Rosario for New Year's Eve. We chose Rosario because it's on the way, but also we heard it's a big party town. Now, it's a party town because there's a lot of students there. And because it was Christmas and New Year's, they'd all gone home. And
it was dead.
Yeah, like you said it really was. I've never known a place to be such a ghost town.
It was quite scary, actually. So we were walking through, trying to find somewhere to eat dinner, maybe pick up some sort of party, thinking, right, where's life going to take us now? It didn't take us anywhere.
We walked around easily an hour, maybe an hour and a half, just trying to find somewhere that was open, like a restaurant, anything, a bar. And we eventually found a restaurant which was fully packed because it was one of the only ones open. And we managed to sit just kind of not even on a table by the bar. We had a bit of food, and then it was like New Year's, and we were like, whoa, Happy New Year. And actually, on this trip, the 2 worst days for me were Christmas Day, because everything just grinds to a halt. And if you're not at home with your family, it's not very good, because we spent the day in a hostel. It's quite boring, actually. And then New Year's Eve was the other worst day of the trip. And these are 2 kind of big days, but they just got in the way of traveling. Do you not think?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So I think if we were away, again, I think you really have to plan where you are, what you're doing and things like that, and just stock up on supplies, because, you know, shops aren't open. And like, we knew that would be the case, but yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think Christmas and New Year's, you kind of want to be at home with your friends and family, really, but traveling all the rest of the year.
Yeah, they're the only 2 days in the year where it's not good to travel. So it's not bad having all the other days.
But what I do want to say is, so I don't think we can give a fair opinion of Rosario, to be honest, because what we did walk past, all the places that were closed, I would imagine it is quite a good place, actually. So yeah, I think we're just there at the wrong time.
Yeah, I'm sure there is stuff to do there. Like I said earlier, that's where the footballer Lionel Messi's from. That's also where Che Guevara is from.
Yeah, there's a statue of him,
who we spoke about a lot in our Cuba episode.
So going back to our Argentinian family, absolutely love these guys. They are the most beautiful people. So we stayed with them, I think, for 3 to 4 days. And they really showed us the culture, told us where to go, the best metro stops to stop off at, and things like that. We went to Tango one night with them, which was an incredible experience. Obviously, that was on my bucket list. The bucket list was actually to learn how to tango in Buenos Aires, which we kind of did at the end.
Yeah, that's true. We were on stage,
Yeah. So you watch the show, and if you buy your tickets for this, you can buy a combo ticket. So you buy your food and entertainment all in one go. And you can actually get packages which pick you up from your hostel and take you back again. But obviously we were with our family, so we were in the car with them. So, there's so many different places, as you can imagine. There's loads of tourist ones, but we can't say which one's best because we only went to one of them.
Exactly. Now, like you said earlier, this really is a bucket list thing, watching tango in Buenos Aires. So I think for anyone traveling, this is the time where just for the day, the budget goes out the window, enjoy a good show. Because they can cost from because it's dinner and a show, it could be like 40 or 50 pounds, $60 something like that. But what a great experience. It was so fantastic. It was really good.
Yeah, so it's classic meal, as you would think. Empanadas, you can have steak, things like that, red wine, and it was great sitting there with an Argentinian family, Argentinian waiters. There was hardly any tourists in there. It was amazing. Nice Friday night thing to do, and the tango dances were unbelievable. So you have the musicians playing in the back, and then two couples come on and do their thing, and it just blew me away. And I love dance, so I used to salsa, and I've always danced throughout my life, and it just blew me away.
And this all happened because we made the decision, even though we were a bit scared to do it, we made the decision to hitchhike. And, we met this family, we then stayed with them, we then went out to tango with them. And it's lucky, and that's not going to happen to everyone. Most people probably won't be that lucky. Some people might be even more lucky. But the point I'm getting at is you never know who you're going to meet when you open yourself up to these opportunities. You can think of all the bad, scary things that might happen, but think of all the good things that could happen. And it was all positive for us. There were times hitchhiking when we waited hours, but we met such cool people along the way. And just staying with this family in Buenos Aires was the dream, really, wasn't it? It was so good.
It really was. And just going back to the hitchhiking, so I don't want it to make it sound like, oh, it was fantastic. It was, but we did take all the right precautions. So I'd say always have water with you because you don't know how long you're going to be out there for in the sun.
Definitely.
If you're in a hot country, always take sun cream. It's all these basic things, but honestly, you will hate yourself if you don't. So make sure you've got stock up of food, and if you do stop, always stop for the toilet. All right, mum. Yeah, and all these things. But the most important thing I would say is make sure you have a sign with you. I don't know where we would have got without a sign.
Yeah.
Just to hold your thumb out isn't good enough, really. And also look respectable is my other tip, and look happy. As hard as it is when you've been waiting for 3 hours in the same spot, always have a smile on your face, because otherwise no one's going to want to pick you up.
It's very true.
What got us in a lot of cars was your dancing, I think, quite honestly.
There you go. You're welcome.
Which you can see on Instagram, actually. Your dance is on there.
Yeah, you can, actually. And at one point, do you remember there was a mother and a daughter? They only gave us a ride 10 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
But they actually said, we thought we'd pick you up because you look like nice, happy people.
Yes, exactly. So they're our biggest tips for hitchhiking.
So there you go. Now, one other thing we did with our Argentinian family, I think we should mention the kids. Let's mention all the names because we haven't mentioned the kids' names.
True.
So it's Laura and Maximiliano.
Yep.
The mum and the dad.
And Felipe and Emmy as well. And because she kept saying Emmy, I kept thinking, when we was in the house, I was like, yes, see.
Oh, yeah,
she weren't talking to me.
Yeah,
she was talking to her daughter.
Sounded like Amy.
Yeah.
And with Felipe, bearing in mind was he like a 6-year-old boy? I absolutely smashed him at FIFA. I did not hold back whatsoever. We had some good FIFA battles.
You two were had a proper bromance going on, didn't you?
Yeah, well, mainly over FIFA. We could hardly communicate with each other. I can't speak Spanish. He can speak much English, but football is the international language.
Yeah, and actually my favourite memory of Felipe was he turned to his mum in Spanish and said, oh, why aren't they speaking Spanish? Why does anyone in the world want to speak English? Why does that serve anyone?
Good point. I agree with him.
Good point. We should have been speaking Spanish. We're sorry, Felipe.
But something we also did with the family, they took us to a place called Tigre, which means...
tiger.
It does. And it's a little place outside of the city. There's a lot of water canals there, and we went on a boat, and it was just cool to see something different apart from just the big city of Buenos Aires. And we went for lunch. We actually treated them for lunch because we felt by this point we owed them, definitely.
Yeah, and we wanted to take them out, do something nice for them. And just to mention about Tigre as well, it's a place that you can go to the beach. So if you live in Buenos Aires, you can get out of the city for 45 minutes. And yeah, you can be on the beach. So you can either go on one of the canal boats and go all the way round, or go on a canal boat, stop at the beach, spend the day there, and then come back on the canal boat.
Good times. Now, while we were in Buenos Aires, obviously, because we love it, we did a walking tour, and our guide Fernando, who you heard earlier on language lessons, he explained the link between Argentina and Italy.
In Buenos Aires, if you want to understand us a little bit more, think about the Italians. Why do I tell you this? Let's put it again. Context. Late 1800s in Europe. Doesn't matter where you were at, guys. Well, you weren't doing quite good. In Germany, revolution and economical crisis. In Spain, war. In Russia, you were Jewish, they chased you with the pogroms. In Ireland, the potatoes were poisoned. In Italy, another war, guys. Like, people were fleeing from Europe to what they call America, to try to find the American dream, guys. And if you're thinking like this, in what you think about? In which city in the world, guys? New York City, guys. The Statue of the Liberty being there, welcoming all the people that arrived. That happened only if your ship was going to the north. If you're coming to the south, guys, guess where you ended up being? Right here, guys, in Buenos Aires. Did you how suddenly, from being 1.5 million people, by 1910 in our country were 6 million people. In Buenos Aires, by every 8 people, only one of them was born in Argentina, guys. And 2 million of them came from Italy, guys. And now that you know this, don't things make a little bit more sense? Doesn't this explain why we speak so fast? Why we speak so loud? And why in my hands apparently they have life on themselves, guys? Now this is all Italian, and sometimes if you pay attention, it's easy for you to see it.
He was such a good tour guide, wasn't he? So animated and very Italian.
Yeah, no, he was. I love it, the way he says, and now you understand why I talk so fast and why my hands have a life of their own.
He was actually half Polish himself, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, he had a Polish surname, yeah. But very good. And yeah, it's interesting to hear about where all these cultural influences come from. So yeah, Argentinians, you might think, oh, they're all a bit Spanish, but they definitely are very, very Italian.
And what I found quite interesting was some people got on that boat thinking they were going to New York. They ended up in Argentina and just made a life for themselves.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? But he is right. When you think of immigrants going to America, you just think the north, don't you? New York. But no, it was north and south.
So we loved Buenos Aires and kind of didn't want to leave, really, mainly because of our new family that we'd met. But on our last day, we thought, we need to really sum up what we've done in Argentina, do something really good, finish it with a bang. So we went to a graveyard.
Yep, sounds like a strange thing to do when you're travelling and having the time of your life. But it's a really famous graveyard, isn't it?
It is, and it was most certainly not somewhere I've been before. So in England, we have, small tombstones, and it's a very somber place to go. You don't really want to go. But they really celebrate death there. I guess not as much as what I imagine the Mexicans do with Dia de los Muertos, so Day of the Dead. But this cemetery was amazing. So you walk in, very Italian Rome-like structure when you first walk in, with pillars, and then how would you explain them? They're kind of houses, aren't they? Like shed-sized houses made out of granite and really expensive stones. And it's kind of like a house that houses the family once they've all passed away. And someone we haven't really spoken about much is Evita Peron, who you said at the start in your game show facts, or Eva Peron, depends what name you want to use. Now, she was the wife of the Argentine president, Juan Perón. So she's the first lady of Argentina from 1946 until her death in 1952. So more than the president, the country were just in love with her. Yeah. They thought she was an incredible woman, and she was. She did a lot of things for women, really pushed changing laws and making the women had more equal rights than men in Argentina, and she was an incredible woman. So she's got a really famous speech where she's standing on a balcony talking to the Argentinian people, and she announces that she has cancer and that she's dying. But here's a little clip.
And now it's a particularly famous speech because everyone in the crowd were crying. And that's where the famous song comes from, Don't Cry For Me, Argentina.
There we go.
Because of her. So that was really interesting to learn about her. And we were talking about the graveyard earlier. Yeah, that's because she's there. And we found her, I wouldn't call it a tombstone. Like you said, it's more like a house. So the very grand structures where people are buried. Nicer than lots of houses.
It's nicer than our flat,
Yeah,
to be honest.
It is. So it was quite a spectacular thing to see, the graveyard.
Yeah. And also if you want to go there and you want to find Evita Peron, she isn't actually in a special place. It's not like she has her own space there because there's a lot of gravestones there. But when people go there, it's kind of like the search for Evita, really. But you'll know once you see hers, because it's the one that's covered in flowers. People today still go there, lay flowers and put pictures and presents for her there because she's just such a loved person in Argentina.
So shall we give our final thoughts on, well, Buenos Aires, but Argentina as well? Because we are coming towards the end of the episode. So what did you think, Amy? Did it live up to the hype?
It really did. So before we entered Argentina, I was getting a little bit worried because for years, and I'm talking 10, 15 years, I've been wanting to go to Argentina, and I thought, I need to bring my expectations down. But yeah, like you said at the start, I wasn't so keen. I'm mainly Salta, but the further south we went, the better it got. And I'm just in love with Buenos Aires. I would definitely live there at some point. I think we'll probably live there soon. Yeah, the place blew me away. The people, more than anything, just blew me away. Everybody's really kind, like we said, with the hitchhiking. The food, oh my God. I mean, I'd have to live with a husband that's got gout for the rest of my life if we live there. But it's amazing. I would give it out of 10. Oh, I haven't thought about this yet. So Brazil, I gave 10 out of 10.
You did?
I'm actually going to go for a 10 out of 10 again.
Really?
I put it equal to Brazil, yeah.
Wow, okay, good stuff. Yeah, it was really good, and I agree. Closer we got to Buenos Aires, the better the trip got. Really liked Buenos Aires. It had a really good feel about it. It seemed like it'd be a really livable city. I do hope we can spend more time there one day. Yeah, maybe live in, who knows. Lots of cool stuff to do. We didn't even mention, we went to the football stadium, the Boca Juniors, which is really famous, and that's in the part of town called La Boca, which is very colourful, and you can see a lot of tango dancing in the street.
And also La Boca means the mouth.
It does, that's correct. But really liked Buenos Aires. I had a really, really good feeling about it. I do want to go back. And Argentina as a whole was great. It was really, really good. And something I do want to point out, you mentioned the people were really friendly, hospitable. I completely agree. And let's not forget, I was talking about the facts earlier, the game show facts. And if you look through history, our two countries, England and Argentina, are not friends. We've been at war with each other. There's a big football rivalry there. But when we were there, we were just greeted with so much kindness.
Absolutely.
So it was a great experience. Out of 10, I'm not going to go 10. I'm going to go 9 out of 10.
Okay, still very strong.
Places like Salta, I think Argentina can be a bit hit and miss. But yeah, overall, it was fantastic. 9 out of 10 is not bad, is it?
Yeah, and actually, just talking about Salta as well, just really quickly, if you do travel around Argentina, I think it's really interesting to point out how people change. Their appearance changes as you cross the country. So up the north, they look very Inca-like people. Up the top near Bolivia and Peru, they have that very indigenous look in the structure of their face, and they look amazing. And then the more you travel south, you can see the Italian influence coming in with the skin color and their facial aspects as well. I just thought it was really interesting.
Yeah. The more south you go, you're right. Very European. It was a mixture of European and native, whereas Brazil was native, European and African.
Yes,
wasn't
for
it?
sure.
But Argentina was very much more European. But fantastic. Yeah, we both had a great time. Really, really loved it.
We will soon be travelling there again to go to places like Mendoza and hopefully all the way down Patagonia to Ushuaia and stuff like that. But as you obviously know, listening to this at the end, we didn't cover those places, but we will for sure be going there soon, and we'll be doing another Argentina episode at some point, I guess.
We will, I guess, yeah. So, Amy, what's coming next on What the Foe?
Well, Nick, we're going to be talking about Oslo next because we went there for the weekend a few weeks ago, and yeah, we'd definitely recommend people to have a city break in Oslo. Also, guys, if you want to get some What the Foe t-shirts and merch, then you can do that through our shop on our website, whatthefoetravelpodcast.com. So on there you can get hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, anything you like, and it would really support the show and keep us going.
And also I want to say before we sign out, faux party. I've had a lot of people saying what's going on. And we have actually had a few people within Europe, because I said we're probably going to try to do something in mainland Europe. A few people have got in touch and said, yeah, what's happening? Poland's been spoken about and a few other places. But we just haven't found, I'll be honest with you guys, we just haven't found good prices on flights just for a weekend because we can't get the time off work. It'd have to be a weekend. It'd have to be cheap because we're saving for a big trip, which we're going to tell you about next episode. So at the moment, it doesn't look like it's happening, but it will happen. We just don't know where in the world. So stay posted. Something will be happening, but I just want to be honest with you guys. It's looking like it's probably not happening this summer.
So thanks for listening, guys. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to give us some love on iTunes reviews because it really helps the show. And let us know what you think. Ciao.
Please feel free to get in touch with the show. You can do that by checking out our website, www.whatthefotravelpodcast.com. From that, you can find all of our social media channels. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Our email address is whatthefopodcast@gmail.com.